Driving without the necessary understanding of how an automobile works is similar to not knowing how to drive at all. When automobile owners who previously understood how a manual car works move to an automated car, this frequently occurs. This ignorance, however, has resulted in several accidents. The question still remains, what makes a manual car different from the automatic? However, the following are things you should never do when operating an automatic gearbox. You should always apply the emergency brake if you are parking uphill, downhill, or in a spot where your car could move. The parking pole may get damaged if this isn't done. People who drive cars with manual gearboxes are aware that they should always use the emergency brake, whether they are parked on a level surface or a hill. However, what about cars with automatic transmissions? Because it guarantees that the parking pole won't break and needs to be repaired, it's still an excellent idea. Next is always being neglected. When your car is still in drive, do you sit in it? Put your car in park or switch it off completely if you intend to spend a lot of time sitting in it. The car may overheat if you leave it in drive when you're not using it. From the cylinder head to the gaskets and seals, an overheated engine can lead to issues. If the overheating is severe enough, it may result in long-term issues. Next, you probably believe that leaving your car in neutral is preferable if you don't anticipate needing to drive for a time, as when you're delayed in traffic or waiting at a light. This is a horrible idea as well. In these circumstances, leaving your automobile in neutral is best for it, even if it may waste gas. Your car's transmission may get damaged if you leave it in neutral. Leaving your automobile in neutral raises safety issues as well. For instance, when traffic begins to accelerate, you can reduce your car's speed and movement by leaving it in neutral. This next one is always hard to remember while driving. Additionally, when driving downhill, you should never leave your automobile in neutral. As was already established, driving in neutral reduces your ability to regulate the vehicle's speed and motion. This is a major safety concern. So, if you're traveling downhill, what should you do? Use the 2 and 1 gears to manually downshift rather than using neutral. Instead of depending on the brake pads, learn to brake with the engine. There should be speed restriction signs in the region for you to refer to, so always drive at a reasonable pace. Next, water in the gearbox can prevent your gears from shifting, which can harm your transmission irreparably. Get your car tested right away by getting in touch with your neighborhood AMCO center if you think your transmission may be leaking water. Does your automatic car allow you to park while driving? Then you need to see this next one. Remember, not every car can accomplish this. However, some allow you to put your car in park while you're driving. Even when you're crawling, never do this. This may harm the locking pin or the brake. Many people make this mistake without even realizing it, like when they swiftly pull into a spot in a parking lot. Before shifting into park, always bring the vehicle to a firm stop. Do you have a tendency to drive with your right foot on the gas and your left foot on the brake? Instead, use one foot to drive. You have to use both feet when driving a manual car. However, you run the risk of using the wrong foot on the wrong pedal, or worse, slamming both feet on the pedals. Furthermore, the brake may experience additional pressure if you maintain your foot on the brake. In addition to squandering gas, this can harm your brake and impair your car's performance. Next, are you among the drivers who frequently shift into reverse? This could cause harm to your vehicle if you are not completely stopped. It could also be dangerous depending on where you're driving. Your transmission is subjected to needless strain with this maneuver. Always brake before changing gears, whether you're driving or reversing first. What happens if you're moving slowly? For instance, if you put your automobile in drive while reversing out of a parking spot, even though there might not be a risk to your safety, you should fully brake in between gear changes to protect the transmission. It makes sense since filling up your tank is impossible when gas prices are rising. To make sure you have enough petrol for the distance you're traveling, you can pay for it with pocket change. This is a grave error though. Not all of the time is your fuel gauge a reliable signal. It's possible for your car to halt in the middle of the road. This can become a safety concern in addition to being inconvenient. This may eventually harm your car's catalytic converter as well. Keep your tank more than a quarter of the way full at all times, and fill it up when it reaches the quarter line. As teenagers, we've all done it. However, since your parents won't be covering the expenses this time, don't be so foolish. It causes a tremendous jolt to the transmission, which increases internal friction and damages engine parts. It causes the gearbox to wear out at an incredible rate by causing your transmission's components to change direction quickly. Instead, stop the car using the brakes. In addition to harming the gearbox, some people shift into the park without using the brakes. It's a mistake, particularly during the winter. In chilly conditions, the oil hardens and moves more slowly. Allow a minute for the fuel to enter the transmission and all of its components. There will be serious internal damage if you put the car in gear and drive quickly right away. Two things can happen when you have the habit of resting your hand on the gear stick: early wear and tear and endangering safety. When your hand is rested upon the gear stick, it puts pressure on the shifter rail. The shifter rail then pushes the synchronizers. They touch the gears and friction is created. This friction can cause premature damage to the teeth of the gear. The next one is a major mistake you must avoid. It can be so easy to drive an automatic that you don't always stop entirely before changing directions. When switching from drive to reverse or reverse to drive, this is important. It also holds true when you're turning significantly, like at a 90-degree angle. Before you change directions, make sure your car has completely stopped. You'll have a lower chance of damaging your automobile or, worse, having it roll off the road if you do this. So what exactly is launching? It's something we're all occasionally guilty of. Launching is the process of quickly increasing your speed while your vehicle is in neutral after being still. Although this could be okay on a racetrack, it is inappropriate for our roadways. Damage to important components of your engine and gearbox is likely to result from repeatedly launching your vehicle. Although every driver must use caution when operating an automatic gear car, accidents sometimes occur when appropriate safeguards are not taken. What other information do you believe a driver should be aware of? Kindly leave your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you for watching.